Are you headed for the Goa Triathlon next week? And is this your first triathlon? If yes, you should definitely watch this video. This is Abhishek of Hard, and today we are going to talk about the Ironman Goa Athlete Guide and the event schedule. So let's get started. Hey guys, so here we are on the Ironman Goa website. We click on athletes. Let's start with the event schedule. The race is on the 13th, which is a Sunday. There are a few events which are before that. So on Friday, the expo is open. The expo is actually slightly further away from the race start. I'm assuming all the participants are in Goa on Friday. If they are, then probably you should definitely check out the expo. Really spend like an hour or so going through the expo. Also, the athlete check-in happens at that time. Athlete check-in is basically your registration, where you go there, you show them your ID, and you collect your timing chip and the swim cap. So Saturday there is a lot of events planned. Iron Kids is basically, it's going to be a small mini triathlon sort of a thing, or a mini running race for kids. So if you have any kids, probably this is a good time for them to get a feel of the race. There is another athlete check-in on Saturday, and at 11 a.m. I can see a compulsory athlete briefing, which is at Panjim Gymkhana. Attend the briefing. Actually, it is compulsory. So there's no way that the organizer checks if you have attended a briefing or not, but I will definitely recommend that you go and attend the briefing. And then from 11:30 to 5:30, now this is very crucial, because the transition area is now open and you can rack your bikes. One day before the race, you have to submit your bike. The bike will be then kept in the transition area at exactly your spot. So between 11:30 to 5:30, the transition area is open, and you're supposed to actually go there and deposit your bicycle. And this has to be done before the race day. On the race day, you are not allowed to carry your bike inside. At 12 o'clock, 12, 1 and 2, there is a transition tour. So transition tour is basically probably one of the coaches or one of the experienced athletes will take you in the transition zone. This is probably one of the most important things that you should attend if this is your first triathlon or this is your first time in Goa. I will definitely recommend leaving everything aside and attending at least one transition tour. So in the tour, the guide will probably tell you where you should enter the transition area, what you should do in transition, and how you're supposed to leave the transition area. So all this will help you reduce your transition time and prevent any confusion. Definitely attend this. There is no two ways about it. And after that, there is another race briefing at around 3 o'clock. So if you attended any one of them, it's fine, but definitely attend at least one. We move on to the event itself. The transition area opens at 5 a.m. in the morning. So this is where you can actually enter the transition area, fill water bottles, do a last check of the bike. If you have any nutrition or food, this is the time where you can store it. Also, make sure that you have everything that you need for your bike and the run in the transition area in the morning itself. Keep in mind the transition area is open only till 6:30, so most of the time it is going to be dark, so you make that preparation accordingly. 7 o'clock, the race begins. They expect the first finisher to reach there by 11, and so on and so forth. And probably since the cutoff is 8.5 hours, so the last finisher should be there by 3:30 max. And I think 3:30 is more than enough time for everybody to finish. After the race ends, there is the World Championship roll down ceremony at 4 o'clock. and it happens at the Marriott Resort, which is very close by to the finish, followed by the awards presentation. No matter when you finish the race, you go for the World Championship roll down ceremony. The roll down ceremony is where they give you slots for the World Championship, which happens probably next year, and this time it's happening in Finland. Now let's look at the athlete guide. This is probably a new logo this year, and the title sponsor is Herbalife. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's go. So it is a 45-page document, but I think there are 15 to 20 pages of it is just advertisement. So it's not as big as you think it is. Let's see, this is the contents page. There's a message from the chief minister, message from the tourism minister, message from race director, or you can safely skip all of that. It's just going to be your normal PR thing. Let's head directly to the race referee and the race rules. It's on page 9. Oh, I like this picture. Probably it's an aram bowl, if I'm not wrong. There is someone called as the race referee, and if you're not aware, he's like an umpire and he's going to catch you cheating or breaking rules. Oh, the race referee is Kyunsung Kim. Welcome to 2022 Ironman Goa. To ensure a safe and fair race, we would appreciate your cooperation following the rules of the event. So here are the several rules. Now here it says the most common infringement incurring a time penalty is drafting behind other riders on the bike course. To minimize the possibility of infringing the rules on race day and avoiding a visit to the penalty box, please observe the following. Drafting is basically you need to keep a distance of 12 meters from the cyclist ahead of you. So at any point of time, if you are closer to the cyclist than those 12 meters, it's considered drafting. Last year I spoke to a lot of people, so there were instances of drafting which were not caught or which were not penalized, probably because it was the race's first year. So these are the rules as to how do you avoid being in the draft zone. Ensure that you read this. So there are two kinds of cards. There's a blue card, which means it's a 5-minute penalty. There is going to be a separate penalty box. So let's say if I as a rider, I draft behind another rider and the referee catches me, they'll show me a blue card. Now what that means is I have to go to the penalty box. I have to keep my bike aside and I have to just stand there for 5 minutes. Only after that I can start the bike again. So you get the 5-minute penalty for these 3 offenses, which is the first one is drafting. The second one is illegal pass, meaning you can't overtake another rider on the left. You always have to overtake from the right. Then there is the yellow card penalty. It's a start and stop penalty, meaning if you get a yellow card, you need to go to the penalty box, stop your bike, and then immediately start again. Doesn't seem much, but it will definitely break your momentum. So you get the yellow card for the following offenses. Let's say you don't wear your helmet properly, or you indulge in any offensive and unsportsmanlike behavior. If you don't use the public toilet, if you take outside assistance. Now this is very important. Like, you may have your friends and family to cheer for you, but ensure that you don't really take their help in terms of food or nutrition or anything from there, because this is not allowed. You have aid stations for it. Use of any electronic equipment, including telephones. I mean, they should have just written mobile. I mean, yeah, telephone कौन use करता है race के बीच में? Telephone office में भी use नहीं करता यार आजकल. But ठीक है. So the main thing you have to understand is you can't carry your cell phone around. You can't have a music player. You can't wear your earphones. That is what the rules are. In other local events, probably the organizer doesn't care about this, but these guys are pretty strict about it. So ensure you don't have a cell phone or a music player or any electronic item with you during the race. Now here is the race rules. Now some of them are pretty self-explanatory. For example, in the swim, the use of snorkels, fins, gloves, paddles, flotation device is prohibited. That's fine. Here again it says headsets or headphones are prohibited during the swim. I don't know why it says just during the swim, because headphones and headsets are prohibited everywhere. Now there are rules for the bike. It basically means that the bike, it shouldn't be an e-bike. A normal bike works. Oh, it also says it's the responsibility of each athlete to know and follow the cycling course. Of course, the course is going to be marked, but then if you lose track of the course, which rarely happens in a race because you have people around, but if it does, then it's your own responsibility. Cycling with a bare torso is prohibited, meaning you have to wear a cycling jersey. You can obviously swim without anything on your swim with just a swimming costume, but for the run, for the bike and the run, you need to have a shirt on. Headsets and headphones are not allowed. Now coming to the run, wow, it says athletes may run, walk or crawl. Ouch. So it's the sole responsibility of the athlete to know and follow the prescribed running course. That's fine. No adjustments in time or results will be made for any reason whatsoever. So let's say if you take a detour and you run 2 kilometers more, well, they're not going to compensate you. You need to still finish the race. Probably you end up doing 23 kilometers, you end up taking more time, but that is not going to be counted. Running with a bare torso is prohibited. It's not like the Mumbai Marathon. It's not like your local 10K. How much ever in shape you are, I would say put on a t-shirt or else you'll be disqualified. So here it says there's a 30-second time penalty, and if you're not able to remedy it, then it's a disqualification. So I don't think, let's say if you don't have your t-shirt around, there is no way you're going to get a t-shirt on in 30 seconds. So keep this in mind. Again, headphones are not allowed. There is athletes' right to protest. So basically if you get a penalty, you can protest. But it's a lot of paperwork and you have to do it after the race. So I just hope that you don't break rules so that you don't have to come to this point. Anti-doping so this is your basic stuff. And if you're doping to compete as an amateur in your local 70.3 race, I think you've got bigger issues to deal with. Moving on, okay, there's Herbalife, there is the brand ambassador Mary Kom. Yeah, this is the event schedule. I think we've discussed this in detail previously. Now keep in mind that these venues are away from each other. They are not nearby. For example, Miramar Beach and Panjim Convention Center is not close by. Okay, so keep this in mind and then plan your day accordingly. Like I said, this is an important notice. On Sunday, you need to pick up your bicycles by 5 p.m. Post 5 p.m, if there are any bikes, that's not the organizer's responsibility, which is fair enough. This is the race precinct. So this is where you finish the swim, you run all the way back. Yeah, it's a long run to the transition area, probably 500 meters. This is the transition area. Once you pick up your bike, you start cycling. Oh, Red Bull again. Athlete checklist. Well, I would say go through this. This is page number 16. Ensure you check this thoroughly. Okay, there is athlete check-in. 11th on the 11th and the 12th. If you're in Goa on the 11th, ensure you do the check-in as soon as possible. And athlete check-in is not open on race day. So ensure that you do this on the 11th or 12th. Now, this is the race kit that you will get. So whenever you check in, you get a timing chip, correct? The organizer will tell you where to wear it, and this is a very crucial part because this is how your timing is going to be accessed. So don't lose this, don't exchange it, and most likely it goes on your ankle. So there is a wrist ID. Now without the wrist ID, you can't enter the transition area. So ensure you wear it, and otherwise it's going to be a big inconvenience. Then there is a race number, which is compulsory only on the run leg. There is a bike seat post, which needs to be, as the name says, it needs to be stuck on the seat post. There is a helmet sticker, there is a swim cap, and there are tattoos. Tattoos are basically on the arm so that they can identify you during the swim. Then there is a street gear bag. There is a lot of these things. Now all of this will be explained during the briefing, so ensure you attend the briefing. Oh, the timing chip. Here's the thing. Your timing chip must be worn on your left ankle at all times during the race. If you do not start the race, you're responsible for returning the chip to a race operation team member or a timing team member. Failure to do so may disqualify you from participating in future Ironman events. Okay. Know where you are at the race course. If you lose the chip, failure to wear, return your chip or pay the replacement cost may disqualify. Be charged back to the athlete. Wow! So if you lose the chip, they're going to charge you $50. Man, that's a big price. Okay, there's Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar is everywhere. Pre-race information. Yeah, now this talks about the bike check-in. All bikes must be stored in by Saturday on 12th November and left overnight. Okay, so while bikes are stored in transition, athletes will be allowed to cover their seats handlebars only from inclement weather. Full bike covers are not allowed as it presents a safety hazard to volunteers and other competitors. Full bike covers will be removed from any bike. Okay, you will have access to your bike in the morning, but you will not be allowed to pick up your bike until 1:30 p.m. Okay. It talks about athlete briefing, bike mechanics. Again, there's one more Herbalife advertisement. This is the race day information. This is probably very important. The transition opens up at 5:15 in the morning and it goes all the way up to 6:30 because the race begins at 7. Reach the transition area in time so that you have enough time to arrange your transition area. So the race will officially end at 8 hours and 30 minutes after the final athlete enters the water. Meaning, let's say if I am an athlete, the race begins at 7, but because it's a rolling start, people will enter the water at a few moments time. So by 7:15, I'm assuming all the athletes have entered the water. So from 7:15, they'll count 8.5 hours. The swim has a cutoff of 1 hour 10 minutes. Since there are 2 laps of the swim, there is an intermediate cutoff. Well, it makes sense, right? Because it's a 70-minute cutoff. So out of the 2 loops, you should have done at least 1 loop in 35 minutes. If you've crossed 35 minutes, even 50 minutes, then your race ends right there. So the bike cutoff is actually, there's no separate bike cutoff as of such. There's a swim plus bike cumulative cutoff of 5.5 hours. If you're a good swimmer and you can finish the swim leg in 40 minutes, you get additional time to finish the bike. There is an intermediate cutoff at the bike leg as well. That means at the 46 kilometer mark, it's approximately, let's say, 1 loop. There are 2 loops. You should have started the second loop by 10:45. If you haven't, then probably they may not allow you to race further. The same goes with the run. Now, again, there is no separate run cutoff, but there is a cumulative cutoff, which is the final cutoff of around 8.5 hours. If you are a good cyclist and you ride faster, you get more time to run. There is another intermediate cutoff, which is basically by 2:50, you should be starting with your third lap of running. If not, then probably they'll remove you from the course. This is a very interesting part. Ironman reserves the right to remove an athlete from the course and DNF the athlete if our course staff determines there is no possibility of an athlete finishing the given discipline before the cutoff based on athlete's location, time, average speed up to that time. That means the race organizer has some say in that, has some discretion. But last year, it allowed everybody to finish. I'm assuming this year they are going to be slightly stricter. This information should have been given out like months ago, because if I know what is there on the aid station, I can train myself accordingly. On the bike, we have an electrolyte which is from Herbalife H24. There is Fasten Up energy gels, there is banana, there is water. Now, see, this is where I have a problem with the organizer. Some of these products are not well known, are never used. For example, I don't even think there'll be 10 people who've used a Herbalife electrolyte. देखो यहाँ पे मुझे organizer से problem है. When you release the guide so late, the guide has very crucial information. For example, what is the kind of nutrition on the bike? Now, since you are on the bike, there is no way you can carry more than two bottles. So you're going to be consuming probably 6 to 9 liters of liquid, correct? So you have to rely on the organizer to supply you that. Now, I can see that they are going to provide Herbalife electrolyte. Now, I don't know anybody in my circle who's ever used a Herbalife product for the electrolyte. So this is a very rare product which you're going to provide on the race day. So if this guide had come probably one, 2, 3 months ago, athletes could have been in a better position to prepare for this. Anyways, I understand that probably Herbalife came on board quite late, but I think, this is my opinion, you guys could have done so much better in this department. See, on the run counters, you'll have so much more options. You'll have an electrolyte, you'll have water, cola, Fast Enough energy gels, energy bars, fruit, Red Bull, etc., etc. T20 is another clothing sponsor. Now let's move on to the swim. So the swim starts at 7 in the morning at Miramar beach. Now there is a change from last year's route. The last year route was like kind of a triangle thing, and I remember a lot of that swim took place in very shallow waters. So there was probably, out of the 1900 meters, 700 to 800 meters were in like waist height shallow water. So it wasn't a good experience. So this time I think they've rectified it. So you start at the Miramar beach and you go all the way in, you take a left and you take another left and you come out of the yes, that's what you do. So you start, you go 275 meters in, you take a left and you take another left and you come out on the beach and you enter the beach again. Now keep in mind that the way the swim leg is going to be organized this year is that you will all the boys will be on your left. So it makes sighting a little bit more easier because most of us breathe on our lefts. So wherever you go, so whenever you swim, it's going to be on your left. The boys are going to be on your left. Swim support. Oh, this is very, very interesting. There will be a large number of water safety personnel and there will be resources with an array of boats. Should at any point be taken to 2 extraction points. Treat this carefully. So if you have any trouble during the swim, or if any other athlete has it, they have sufficient provisions for rescue. Wetsuits are definitely prohibited. The swim cutoff. So if you're a poor swimmer, I think this should be your first priority. Try and finish the swim in 70 minutes. अगर आप अच्छे साइक्लिस्ट हो, अच्छे रनर हो, उससे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा अगर आप स्विम कट ऑफ नहीं मीट कर पाए तो. If you are a poor swimmer, I would say, man, give it all. Give it everything. Don't try and save your energy for the bike, for the run. If you are looking at a cutoff. Yeah, so this is another 10 tips. These are very generic tips from the Ironman website. You can go through them, but at this very moment, all of them are not really relevant. For example, preparing for race conditions, learn about the course. Yeah, so check out the course well. And yeah, don't use any new gear on the race day. Use the same goggles. Swimming cap तो option नहीं है, उनका use करना पड़ेगा. But don't experiment with goggles. Don't experiment with a new swimsuit or a tri-suit. Yeah, spend some time warming up on the race day. And yes, start easy, relax and breathe. Oh, this is the new Plasma by Scott, which is another bike sponsor. This is the new route. Last year there were 3 laps of 30 kilometers each. This time there are just 2 laps of 45 kilometers each. And if you notice carefully, we still have two climbs. Now, keep in mind, this is a 40. This elevation is given for 1 lap. So essentially, you're doing like 4 climbs instead of 3 previously. So I don't know if this route is better than the last year's route. However, what I do like about this route is that since it's only 2 laps, the participants will get a lot of space to cycle, and chances of drafting will be slightly lower. There are 2 aid stations on the course with 4 hits. That means even though there are just 2 aid stations, you're gonna meet them 4 times. So this is the cards that you're gonna be shown. If they show you a blue card, that's a 5-minute penalty. If they show you a yellow card, it's going to be a 30-second. If they show you a red card, God forbid they show you a red card, it means disqualification. I'm not aware of any of these cards being used last year. This year it could be different. Okay, here there are 10 generic guides to check before the bike leg. I think the run route is more or less the same like last time. It's going to be 3 loops, and there is a small climb at in every loop. The good thing is there are like 4 aid stations on the run, 4 aid stations with 12 hits. That means you'll end up crossing an aid station 12 times, which is more than enough. Okay, this is another food sponsor. You're supposed to cross the finish line alone, without your friends, without your families, without your children. I mean, I know there is always temptation to cross the finish line with your kids. It's a great moment. The pictures can be amazing, but don't cross the finish line with anybody. Otherwise, I think it leads to disqualification or something like that. Friends, family members, or other spectators are not permitted to cross the finish line or enter the finish chute with participating athletes. Athletes who choose not to respect the foregoing finish line will be disqualified. Okay, so there is a photography sponsor, and you'll probably spot these photographers. Make sure you smile for them. Once you finish, there'll be volunteers who will escort you to a different area where you'll have food, snacks, recovery massages, and other hydration. There are massage services, and there is support from Hyperice, which is basically a recovery tool. Last year, I have seen the amount of athletes who finish at the same time, so I wouldn't really be dependent on them because they are always overwhelmed. After every race, there is an award ceremony, and make sure you go and attend the ceremony. Okay, so the first 3 finishers of every age group are awarded with trophies. And also there is a very interesting ceremony called as the roll down ceremony, and I would definitely recommend everybody to go and attend. So what happens is that the Ironman World Championship has a few slots to offer for every race. So in the Ironman War race, there are 30 slots. So 30 people will get an opportunity to take part in the Ironman World Championship. Let's say if I'm in the age group of 30 to 34, and there are 3 slots. So the people who come first, second, third will be invited on stage to come and collect their token, and if they want to take part, they can pay the registration fee and win a slot to the World Championship. Now, let's say if the athlete number 1 does not want to take part in the World Championship, or he's already qualified for the World Championship from any other race, his slot will now roll down to the person who's in the 4th position. That's why this ceremony is called the roll down ceremony. Theoretically, these slots can roll down even further. So let's say nobody in that age slot wants to participate. Theoretically, even somebody who's finished at the last can get a chance. Last year, I know 4 people who didn't come in the first 3, and they didn't expect that they'll get a slot. So they didn't attend, but their names were called because the slot rolled down pretty quickly. Even if you don't think you have a chance, I would say go and attend and take your credit card. If you think you've given a good performance, you are probably in the top 5, I would say go for it. Take your credit card, go for it. You never know where you land up. Qualified athletes are required to claim their 70.3 World Championship slot in person. Bring a valid photo ID and be prepared to pay 650 euros plus taxes plus 10%. Wow. तो देखो 80,000 का खर्चा है. 80,000 का स्लॉट है. 80,000 का. तेरा घर जाएगा. Okay, so if you want to learn more about the allocation process, page 40 has like all the details. Now there is some instructions for the relay team. There is event contact details, which is not really necessary. Now there's an athlete checklist, which is, yeah, it's a pretty conclusive checklist. Make sure you go through that. Ironman has this unique app in which you can track each and every participant. So if you have any friends or family who would like to track you, I would definitely recommend downloading this app and keeping it open on the race day. I hope you found this video useful. Ensure you go through the athlete guide in detail so that you don't miss out any of these crucial information. And in case you think I missed out on commenting something, please mention in the comment, or if you have any queries, I'll try and answer all of them well before the race. Wishing all of y'all a very safe and a happy race. This is Abhishek Obhad from Triathlon Made Easy, signing off.